Hi there, people. This is Pure Love, and time again, I keep on bringing new fragrances from trades, and this is a new one. And it is a hype beast. It is a big hype beast. Um, do I think it lives up to the hype? That is a question for now. I already kind of broke the bottle, so I'm sorry for that. I'm being sorry for myself too, but anyway, this one here. It is Khamrah by Lattafa. So, first off, let's take a serious look at the presentation. And Lattafa is a clone fragrance, and Lattafa is a clone brand. I mean, but this one is a clone, obviously, of um Angel Share by Killian. Um, is it an accurate clone of Angel Share? That is a topic that has been time and time again being brought up as to if it is or not a clone of Angel Share, or it's definitely a clone of Angel Share, but is it a good one? Um, and the answer is always a complex one, and I will I will answer some of the questions you might ask yourself when you see that fragrance right now. So first off, I'm gonna I'm gonna describe it just as if I never ever smelled Angel Share um, to you, and you might see differences and resemblances between the two. So, first off, this is a. I'm just gonna spray one spray here on clothing. I already have it on, so it's just another whiff just for the fun of it. And it opens up with a nice apple cognac and spices vibe. It's boozy, um, it's full of spices, and there's obvious like fruity notes in there. As it dries down, it really gets more into like there's a date note in there that really comes off a lot, and there's a lot of vanilla. It's a vanilla centric fragrance. It's very sweet. It's very fruity and sweet. I love it. In fact, it's a great fragrance. I was craving for a fragrance that was, boozy yet fruity, yet vanilla centric and sweet, because I have a lot of vanilla centric fragrances that aren't that sweet, which is a surprise because vanilla is quite a sweet note. In general, when you see vanilla, it's very sweet. So I was craving that kind of fragrance for a while now. I know that summer is coming, so I won't be wearing that much during the summer. But that is very there's. I don't think there's an apple note in there, but there's something about it that just reminds us of an apple. Perhaps it's because of the fruitiness of the date with other fruits around and spices. There are tons of spices here. Like I think there's cardamom, cinnamon, stuff like that. It's really has a kind of an apple pie vibe. It is not that close to Au Agent by Parfum de Marly. If you know that fragrance, I don't think they are that close, but they do the same kind of thing. But what I really like about it is the syrupy sweetness of the date. Now it that gives a whole new vibe to the fragrance, and it's more and more apparent as it dries down. It's very apparent at first. There's a date um, note in there that's pretty obvious, um, but it is still it's syrupy. It's a syrupy, very sweet kind of date, kind of like the actual fruit. It's very dense and sweet and kind of dark, so it goes that way. And the more it dries down, the more it smells like a nice cocktail, but with the date, with the syrupy sweetness that it brings, and with the vanilla that makes it smell even more like a cake, you know. I would compare it a bit more like less to an apple pie the more it dries down, more to um a cake with dates in it, perhaps, like a banana bread with cake with dates, and with vanilla added to it and meant as a dessert, or something like that, something in the veins of that. um it's very, very sexy. It's awfully nice. It smells amazing. Um, Even the opening in general for this fragrance is perhaps $50, and and for fragrances like that to be like high quality, and it's very impressive. I remember Club de Nuit Intense. When you first spray it on, you're like, oh, this is very intense chemically. But this one, you don't see that at all. It's really just exactly like a high end fragrance, but you don't pay the high price for it. That's exactly how I see it. It smells like a very high end fragrance with a very like low price. Um, and I don't feel there's any cheapness about this fragrance at any point in the existence of the fragrance. I think it also lasts a long time. For me, it's like perhaps 8 hours, something like that. It's not like eternal, like some fragrances. There's some people who like fragrances to like 12 hours, something like that. This one is more in the 8 hours ballpark, but it's a pretty solid performance, for a $50 like cheapy fragrance. Um, and yeah, okay, the actual question of does it not just look the part? Is it comparable to Angel Share in any way? It does the same kind of thing as Angel's Share, but I must admit it doesn't smell like Angel's Share, and that was like very perplexing because you see like fragrances out there that are very like a complete ripoff of the original, and when you smell them side by side, they are almost like indistinguishable. This fragrance here um, does something different than Angel's Share, and that is the date note. It is less boozy too than Angel's Share. It's less cognac boozy, and it's less. Um, I said like apple cognac, apple brandy at the beginning of the video. It's because it's one of the first like apple uh, liquor that I have in mind, but actually because there's actual apple brandy out there that you can buy, but actually cognac is a lot more dense. It has a lot more depth. It's different. So it's not a real cognac experience. Like Khamrah by Lattafa is not a cognac fragrance as much as Angel's Share is. Like Angel's Share is a cognac fragrance, as a real like apple cinnamon kind of vibe going on. This one is like you kind of get the appley side of things, but it's not an apple oriented fragrance, and it's more date oriented. That's what I can tell. It's date, spices, and vanilla. That's the most of the fragrance. Even in the opening, you get them immediately. They're pretty strong. It still is like Camera is still boozy. It's still super sexy. It does the actual job Angel Share does, but it's not a one-to-one clone. That's a big thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, do I prefer the clone or the actual fragrance? Well, in fact, I really enjoy the date scent and everything that Camera has to bring to the kind of a DNA that the fragrance has. So I must admit that I think I like Khamrah even more than Angel Share, if it makes sense. I know that it's not, it's a question of taste, most of all, but it's, this one is killer, you know, and it's very different, in fact, than a lot of fragrances out there. And it goes the same way as, you know, if you want something in the veins of Angel Share, Orange, even perhaps Leighton or whatever, this is one of the spicy, super sexy fragrance that is pretty boozy, and it's, Camera does the job. You know, it's an amazing fragrance. It doesn't smell like a cheap fragrance. It looks and smells like something that's very exclusive or very high end, even though it is a cheapie. And even the box, I kept the box because I thought it was amazing, you know? It's like, look at this thing. It's a huge, like there's a display for the bottle and everything. It's incredible, you know? It looks premium. It absolutely looks and feels premium, even though I kind of broke the cap. So be wary that that little that little thing surrounding the cap is not very well attached, and so it doesn't click into place anymore. After one day of use, it's I managed to break the cap, but apart from that, I've got no complaints. It's like solid glass. It's very well done. And so for the price, I think it's difficult to find a better fragrance. Um, and yeah, it's suspicious that they ripped off as much of like the Angel Share presentation with that fragrance and went into the same kind of fragrance but didn't do a one-to-one clone. They can do one-to-one clones. If you know Lattafa well enough, you know that they actually get to do pretty decent one-to-one clones. So that's what I had to say about Camera. It's a great buy. It's a great fragrance. Try it before. It's not for everyone. Yeah, if you're looking for something, you know, sexy date night, it's dates for date night. That is amazing. I think that's gonna be the thumbnail. But yeah, and if you don't like it, well, take something else. Perhaps Angel Share. No, but you know what I mean. Spread love and spray love. Bye bye.